dams along the Arkansas River are thrown in the river and in pits. We don't know. We do not know. But those incidents alone would suggest that the number is greater than the 100 that were killed. And then there are records of people who were not a part of the official count who died later after the riot.
Representative Ross is extending the life of the commission to complete its investigation.
The preliminary report that you read about should, in effect, be discarded because all it did was meet the technical aspects of the law. There was a deadline that the report should be before the legislature by February 1. The research was not concluded, so it required a report and a recommendation on reparations. So the 1921 Race Riot Committee met the technical aspect of the law. It also has provision for a $5 million memorial. That memorial has nothing to do with reparations. It's just out of plain decency. The reparations are another issue that will be discussed when the final report is drafted and forwarded to the legislature. I first heard about the 1921 race riot from our good friend W.D. Williams, my teacher when I was 15. So it's been a 44-year search for me to place this on the national forum. I certainly had people who assisted me along the way, notably Dr. John Hope Franklin, who headed the President's Commission on Racial Relations. Dr. John Hope Franklin is from Tulsa, and his father, B.C. Franklin, was one of the real heroes of the race riot. Not only was Tulsa, the black community in Tulsa, the first American city to be bombed from the air, it was the first city bombed from the air. When I was in Chicago last week, some survivors came to a public hearing, refugees from Tulsa riot, and a lady, 88, who was blind, stood up and talked about bombs, stepping over dead people, bombs been dropped from airplanes, stepping over dead people, and her parents had been taken to concentration camps, and that it took 3 days to find her parents. Now, there are some similarities in the Holocaust in Tulsa. There are some similarities in Waco in Tulsa. There are some similarities of the Japanese placed in concentration camps. But Tulsa was 500 Wacos. Tulsa was half as large as the incarceration of Japanese Americans. Tulsa was a mini Hiroshima. The worst chapter in American history and the largest civil disaster since the Civil War.
Yes, my father was, Ed Goodman Sr. was a senior in high school, and his sister, my aunt, Anna Carroll, who subsequently worked with the Red Cross, were both there during the riot, as well as my grandfather, who was very light-skinned, could pass for white, and he was able to save his house from burning because he stood in front of it as they hid under the beds there. And the story's been repeated many times about the riot, and I heard my father say about how they dropped the firebombs, as they just described there from air. And there's a lot of other information that's come about in recent years, but really one of the biggest contributors to that riot was the daily paper there, and they had some inflammatory editorials that we have privy to that, and they required black people to carry green cards, and they put them on curfew after the riot, and they wouldn't sell them lumber to build back, and they had to build back out of the best that they could with orange crates and just substandard material.
My mother looked out the front door of our home and saw 4 white men carrying torches coming up the sidewalk of our house. My mother looked out the front door and she saw them and she said, "You kids, get up under the bed. Get up under the bed, and I mean right now." The fire started. They went back out, and as they were passing by the bed, one I had my hand out from under the bed, and I was the last one, and they stepped on my hand. One stepped on my hand, and my sister put her hand over my mouth to keep me from screaming because they didn't know we were under the bed. But I remember the two of us running down the streets, and guns were flying, and fires, everything was on fire.
It was a lot of ruckus going, a lot of noise going, a lot of shooting going. It was fighting, shooting going on. And the people my mother worked for came down and got us that night and carried us to their house. It was so bad you could hear people hollering, and they had to be heard. And I'd ask my mother, "What's that noise, Mother?" And she said, "Get yourself in here. I told you to stop looking out there." And as soon as their backs were turned, I would look again. I just thought that they were killing people and putting them on trucks, getting them out the way. That's the only thing I could think. Because, you don't put live people and stack them up. It's only dead people.
There is a new and ironic twist in this case. New evidence indicates that some whites painted their faces to get into the Greenwood area undetected and inadvertently were killed by the white mob.
And I could hear the people say that they were throwing some of them in holes, some of them in the river, in different places, to get rid of the bodies. And there was quite a few of them painted their faces black. I actually heard bullets right across my head and hit the grass. I said, "Ooh-wee, oh, thank the Lord."
Otis Clark was 18 years old at the time of the riot.
We were on the front line. See, on the south side of the Frisco track divided the colored from the white. Ben was had come off from the south side to come on the tracks.
That's where they came?
And that cut me off from my home. We were trying to get an ambulance out of the back of the Jackson funeral home, and men shot over there while the boy was trying to unlock the door to get the ambulance out. The bullet hit him in the hand, and blood jumped out of his hand. He had to drop the keys, and I'm standing right back behind it. The cars were still right on this side of the track. And they had a home there. But it was this, and didn't see them no more. I haven't heard no more from them. We don't know what happened to them. And my stepfather, too. Didn't see him no more. They just got killed in the deal. That's after that. We didn't see him no more. Nobody had no funerals or nothing. We just didn't see old folks no more. At that particular time, they didn't do anything for us. They didn't give us nothing. They didn't try to help us get it. The Red Cross came in and built some little shanties. Built one for my mother and built one for my grandmother.
When blacks tried to rebuild their business community, the Tulsa Chamber of Commerce tried everything within its power to stop